The federal government will add an additional 10,000 places to a scheme designed to make it easier for Australians to buy their first homes. It's been welcomed by the industry, but there are calls for the government to go even further to help keep the construction industry afloat. For more, let's cross to political reporter Jane Norman in Canberra. Jane, take us through the details of this latest announcement.
Yeah, well, Jeremy, this is an extension of a scheme that was introduced back in January. And under that scheme, the government will guarantee loans for up to 10,000 first home buyers each financial year, meaning those first home buyers only need to save about a 5% deposit for their homes. So it means they don't have to save as much. And it also saves them from the very costly mortgage insurance. So far, about 20,000 Australians have subscribed to the original scheme. And today, the Assistant Treasurer, Michael Sukkar, has announced an extension, another 10,000 places that'll become available on budget night next Tuesday. There's a slight difference though. Under this extension, if you want to take advantage of it, you'll have to buy either a new or a newly built home. It can't be an established home. Now, this is really designed to stimulate the residential construction sector, but acknowledging that new homes are often more expensive than established homes, the government has lifted the price cap for eligible homes. So under the original scheme, as it was set out back in January, in Sydney, for example, a house up to the value of $700,000 would be eligible. Well, now under this new scheme with an extra 10,000 places, houses worth up to $950,000 will be eligible in Sydney, and those caps have also been lifted in other capital cities. But let's hear from the Assistant Treasurer, Michael Sukkar, now about just why the government has decided to extend this scheme.
This is another step in that plan to support a very important industry in our country, to support the up to 1 million people who work in the residential construction industry, and of course, with the First Home Loan Deposit Scheme, to encourage more Australians and to help more Australians into their first home.
Jane, what's the reaction been to this announcement?
Well, not surprisingly, Jeremy, it's been a very positive reaction from the building sector. We heard from the Master Builders Association today, the real estate industry, who have all said that the scheme has been working really well to help young people get into the market. Apparently, it takes about 10 years to save a deposit for a home. This scheme is helping cut that time in half. So now it takes on average about 5 years for someone to save up the deposit needed to buy their first home. Now, there have been some questions about just how much demand there'd be for a scheme like this. When it was introduced in January, this was sort of before the pandemic. Since then, the economy has taken a massive hit. We're now in a recession. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their jobs, and statistics show that people are tending to save their money rather than spend it. Nevertheless, the opposition thinks that there will be demand for a scheme like this, so much so that they've called on the government to remove the 10,000 cap each financial year altogether and move towards a demand-driven system. Here's the Shadow Housing Minister, Jason Clare.
They should scrap this cap and help all first home buyers who want to build a new home as long as they meet the conditions of the scheme. That's the difference between what we've called for and what the government's done. The government's put a cap on the number of first home buyers they're prepared to help. It means it's effectively a lottery whether you get help from this scheme or not.
That's the opposition's Jason Clare. Now, Jane, this is all part of the traditional drip feed of information before budget night. What can you tell us about what is going to be announced on Tuesday?
Yeah, well, Scott Morrison has already foreshadowed that this will be one of the most important budgets handed down since the end of World War II. Such is the economic catastrophe that COVID-19 has wrought. We know that the deficit is going to be in the record around $200 billion. Debt is likely to creep up towards $1 trillion. Like, these are truly staggering figures and show just how enormous the challenge really is. But, between now and Christmas, we're expecting more people will lose their jobs. We're expecting more businesses will hit the wall. And one of the sort of side effects of the restrictions, the border closures, is that our population has taken a massive hit. So for the first time in the budget, we're expecting net migration will actually be negative, meaning there are more people leaving Australia than coming here, usually to work. And the fertility rate's also down. So, one thing the government can't rely on to help sort of grow our way out of this recession is for the economy, is for the population to grow grow, and then sort of sparking economic growth. But look, it's going to be a big spending budget. The government has said it's spending its way out of this crisis. We've had a bunch of pre-budget announcements so far relating to the NBN, on energy, on fuel, incentives for businesses to invest. And one thing we are expecting in the budget is for legislated income tax cuts to be brought forward. But what we know from previous recessions is that jobs are the key. Basically, the unemployment rate rises very quickly and then falls very slowly. So that is one key objective of this budget, really, is for the government to try and reverse that and get as many people back into work as quickly as possible, Jeremy.
Jane Norman in Canberra, thank you.